chosen one, before you scroll past this, stop. Put your hand over your chest right now and just feel your own heartbeat for 3 seconds. Feel that. That rhythm has been keeping a secret from you, and tonight, that secret is going to be confirmed. Not guessed, not implied, confirmed. Because God says He is done letting you wonder, and He is done letting you wait in silence for an answer your own soul has been circling for months, maybe years. You did not open this video by accident. Something pulled you here at this exact hour, on this exact day, when your spirit was already restless, already asking the same question in the quiet parts of the night. Who is it? Who is the one whose heart has been quietly tangled with yours this whole time? Tonight, God is going to confirm their real name to you, and I promise you, it is someone you never suspected. Not the person everyone assumes, not the obvious one. Someone your mind has been walking past this entire time without letting your heart stop and look twice. Before I go any further, I need you to do something for me, because what I am about to reveal only lands correctly if you receive it fully. If this channel has not found a home in you yet, subscribe now and turn on the bell. I am not asking because I need a number to grow. I am asking because what comes in the next few minutes builds on itself, piece by piece, and if you miss even one part, you will miss the moment where everything clicks into place. If you are already here, already subscribed, already returning night after night, thank you. You have no idea how much that steadiness means on this side of the screen. Now write 777 in the comments if your spirit has ever whispered a name to you before your mind was ready to admit it. Write it even if you are afraid to say the name out loud yet, and stay with me until the very end, because the last few minutes of this message contain the actual confirmation, the sign that tells you beyond doubt that what your heart already knows is not imagination. It is revelation. Let me ask you something first, because I think you already know the answer, even if you have never said it to another living soul. Have you ever been sitting in a room full of people, laughing, talking, completely normal, and then out of nowhere, one single person crosses your mind and your chest tightens for no reason you can explain? Have you ever caught yourself comparing every new connection to a feeling you cannot fully name? A standard nobody else seems to meet, and you do not even know where that standard came from. Have you ever felt a strange, quiet peace around one particular person, a peace that made no logical sense given how little time you had actually spent with them, as if your spirit recognized something your eyes had not caught up to yet? Have you ever prayed for clarity about your future, and instead of an answer, a face appeared in your mind, uninvited, unexplained, but undeniable? Have you ever found yourself defending someone in your mind, someone who does not even know you were thinking about them, imagining conversations you have not had yet, rehearsing what you would say if you ever found the courage to say anything real? Have you ever noticed that certain songs, certain smells, certain ordinary afternoons suddenly carry the weight of a person you were not even trying to think about? As if your subconscious has been quietly building a shrine you did not consciously agree to build. If any of that just moved something in you, you are not imagining things. You are not being dramatic. You are not making something out of nothing. God says what you have been sensing is real, and tonight He is going to help you understand exactly what it means and exactly who it points to. Here is what I need you to understand before we go deeper, because this is where most people misread their own story. You have spent a long time believing your waiting was punishment. You have looked at every relationship that ended, every connection that fizzled out, every person who walked away right when you thought they would stay, and some quiet voice inside you whispered that something must be wrong with you, that you are too much, or not enough, or too guarded, or too soft, or simply unlucky in a way other people are not. I need you to hear this clearly. None of that was true. None of it. What you called failure, heaven called filtering. What you called bad luck, heaven called protection. Every person who was not the one had to leave, not because you were unworthy of them, but because you were being kept for someone your soul had not yet met in the way it was about to. God does not waste pain. He redirects it. And everything you survived was preparing the exact place inside you where this next name is going to fit, perfectly, like it was carved for that spot and nowhere else. There is a season for every soul when what has been hidden begins to surface, and I believe with everything in me that you are standing at the very edge of that season right now. This is not a coincidence. Coincidences do not make your hands tremble a little while you are watching a video at midnight because some part of you already suspects where this is going. C.S. Lewis spent much of his life writing about the ache we carry for a love and a belonging that this world only partly satisfies, the sense that we were made for something we can feel, but not always name. He believed that longing itself was evidence, that the hunger in us points to a bread that actually exists somewhere, even if we have not tasted it yet. Your longing has not been useless wandering. It has been a compass. And a compass does not point at nothing. It points at true north, even when the person holding it cannot yet see the destination. So let me tell you the first sign, because God does not confirm a name all at once. He confirms it in layers, because your heart needs time to adjust to truth this large. The first sign is the letter. Before the name arrives in full, the letter comes first, sitting quietly at the edge of your awareness, and I want you to pay close attention to whatever letter just floated into your mind the second I said that. Do not dismiss it. Do not talk yourself out of it. That letter is not random. It is the doorway, and every door starts with a single sound before the whole word forms. If a letter appeared in your mind just now, comment it below. Just the letter, nothing else. Because I want you to see how many people in this comment section are being shown the exact same thing tonight, on the exact same night, at the exact same hour, and that is not coincidence either. That is heaven moving, on a timeline bigger than any one of us. Now I want to talk about them for a moment, because you are not the only one carrying this. While you've been lying awake wondering if you imagined the whole thing, they have been fighting a battle of their own, and it has been just as exhausting as yours. God is showing me that this person has tried to talk themselves out of what they feel more than once. They have told themselves it is too soon, or too complicated, or too risky, or that you probably do not think about them the way they think about you. They have deleted messages before sending them. They have started to reach out and then stopped, phone in hand, thumb hovering, heart pounding, and then set it back down and told themselves it was not the right time. They have thought about you in places that had nothing to do with you, in the middle of ordinary tasks, in the quiet seconds before sleep, and been almost frustrated with themselves for how often your presence returns uninvited. That frustration is not annoyance. It is resistance against something they already sense is bigger than a passing feeling, and resistance like that only shows up when the thing being resisted is real. I want you to comment. I receive this if any part of what I just said matches something you have felt but never said out loud, and I want you to understand why I am asking you to say it. Speaking truth out loud, even in a comment section, even to strangers, breaks something loose in the spiritual realm. It moves a thing from private suspicion into declared reality. And declared reality has a way of accelerating what heaven already set in motion. You are not being asked to chase anyone tonight. You are being asked to acknowledge what you already know, and acknowledgement is the first act of receiving. Let me give you the second sign, because the letter alone is not enough. The second sign is the season. Think back to when this feeling first started, not when it became obvious, but the very first flicker. The very first time your spirit caught something before your mind did. Was it during a season of change, a move, a new beginning, an ending you did not choose, a moment when your old life was cracking open, to make room for something you could not yet see. That is not random timing. Heaven often introduces the most important names during the seasons that feel the most uncertain, because uncertainty is exactly when your guard is down enough to actually notice what is standing quietly in front of you. If you can already feel which season this points to, hold on to it, because it is about to matter more than you think. I need to pause here and tell you something honest, because I do not want you walking away from this message with the wrong idea. This is not about chasing, forcing, or manipulating anyone into loving you. God is not in the business of controlling free will, and neither am I. What He is doing is showing you what is already true, what has already been set in motion long before either of you were fully aware of it, so that when the moment of confirmation actually arrives in your natural life, you will recognize it instead of doubting it into the ground, the way you have doubted every good thing that has ever tried to reach you. Doubt has cost you before. It has cost you moments, relationships, chances you talked yourself out of because you could not believe something that good was actually meant for you. Tonight, I am asking you not to do that again. Here is the third sign, and this one is going to hit differently. So take a breath before you keep reading. The third sign is the way your body reacts to their name, even before your mind consciously registers what is happening. Has there been a moment, maybe recent, maybe months ago, when someone said a certain name in casual conversation, completely unrelated to you, and your stomach dropped, your breath caught, your chest tightened for half a second before you even understood why? That reaction is not coincidence. Your spirit was reacting to a name your conscious mind had not yet connected to anything, because heaven often plants recognition in the body long before it plants understanding in the mind. If a specific name just surfaced in you as I said that, do not be afraid of it. Do not talk yourself out of it because it feels too obvious or too impossible. The most confirmed things in Scripture were often the most unlikely on paper. A shepherd boy became a king. A barren woman became a mother of nations. An ordinary carpenter's family carried the weight of heaven inside an ordinary home, in an ordinary town nobody expected anything from. God has a long, consistent pattern of choosing the name nobody was betting on. Let me tell you a small story before I give you the next sign, because I think it will help this land the way it is meant to land. There was once a woman who kept a single unlit lamp by her window every single night for years, not because she expected anyone, but because her grandmother had told her that some lights are lit for people who have not arrived yet, and that the lighting itself is part of what calls them home. Neighbors thought it was strange. Some thought it was sad, an old habit from a woman waiting for something that would never come. But one winter, a stranger lost on an unfamiliar road, half frozen, completely turned around in the dark, saw exactly one light still burning in a town where everyone else had gone to sleep, and he walked toward it because it was the only thing visible in the entire night. That light had been burning for him before he ever knew he would need it, before he ever knew her name, before either of them understood that an ordinary lamp in an ordinary window was quietly doing the work of a prayer. I tell you that story because your waiting has not been sad. It has not been wasted. It has been a lamp burning in a window somebody has not reached yet, and every lonely night you thought was meaningless was actually part of the light that is going to guide them home to you. I want to slow down here and talk about why this matters so much, because some of you watching this have been so hurt by love before that you have built entire walls around the part of you that used to hope freely. You have learned to protect yourself by expecting disappointment before it arrives, because it hurts less if you saw it coming. I understand that. I am not going to pretend that armor was foolish because it kept you standing through seasons that could have destroyed someone with a softer heart. But armor that was necessary for survival is not always necessary for what comes next. There is a difference between the wisdom that protects you and the fear that isolates you. And only you know, deep down, which one is currently running your decisions. Tonight, God is not asking you to be reckless. He is asking you to be discerning enough to tell the difference between a warning and an old wound talking. Let me give you the fourth sign, because we are getting close now, closer than you realize. The fourth sign is peace, and I do not mean excitement. I do not mean butterflies. I mean an actual settling in your chest when you think about this person, even amid the uncertainty of not knowing exactly how or when things will unfold between you. Counterfeit connections create chaos. They keep you anxious, checking your phone, replaying conversations, wondering where you stand. What is confirmed by God rarely announces itself with chaos. It arrives quietly, and underneath the nervousness of not knowing the outcome, there is a strange, steady peace that says, whatever happens, this was not a mistake, this was not wasted, this mattered. If you feel that peace right now thinking about the name that has been surfacing in your mind throughout this message, that is not wishful thinking. That is confirmation settling into a place words cannot fully reach. Before I give you the fifth sign, I have to pause for a moment, because I can already feel some of you getting nervous, maybe even a little defensive, and I want to address that honestly instead of pretending it is not happening. Some of you are sitting there right now thinking, this cannot be about who I think it is about, because the timing is wrong, or because there is history there that complicates everything, or because you have already told yourself 100 times that this particular door is closed for good reasons. I am not going to tell you your reasons are foolish, because I do not know your full story. But I will tell you this. God has never once been intimidated by complicated timing. He has never once looked at a messy history and decided it disqualified two people from a future. He was already writing. Some of the most confirmed unions in Scripture started in the middle of the most inconvenient circumstances imaginable. Circumstances that looked, from the outside, like the exact opposite of a love story. So if the name surfacing in your spirit right now comes with an if, or a but, or a not, right now attached to it, do not let that complexity convince you the confirmation is false. Complexity is not the same as impossibility. It simply means the story is not finished being written yet, and you are being shown the outline before you have seen every chapter. Now here is the fifth and final sign, the one that ties everything together, so listen carefully, because this is the part you came for. The fifth sign is that their name will not leave you alone, no matter how many times you try to reason it away. You will try to explain it as coincidence. You will list every practical reason. It does not make sense, the timing, the distance, the complications, the history, and still, after all of that reasoning, the name will still be there in the morning, waiting for you the moment you open your eyes, the way it has probably already been waiting for you every single morning for longer than you have admitted, even to yourself. I want to tell you what I believe is happening on the other side of this, in their life, right now, tonight, possibly at this very hour while you are watching this. I believe they are sitting somewhere, maybe alone, maybe surrounded by people, but still feeling far away from all of them. And something in their spirit is unsettled in a way they cannot explain to anyone around them. I believe they have thought about reaching out to you more than once this week and stopped themselves each time, afraid of reading the moment wrong, afraid of ruining something by moving too soon, afraid of a rejection that would confirm every insecure thought they have ever had about whether they are worth choosing. That fear is not weakness. It is proof that what they feel for you is not shallow, because shallow feelings do not carry this much fear attached to them. People do not lie awake worrying about losing something that never mattered. I keep seeing a specific picture when I pray about this, and I want to describe it to you exactly as it came, because sometimes the smallest details are the ones that confirm everything. I see them somewhere quiet, maybe a car parked outside somewhere they do not need to be yet. Maybe a room after everyone else has gone to bed, phone screen lighting up their face in the dark, your name or your photo sitting right there on the screen. thumb hovering over it the way it has hovered a dozen times before. I see them typing something, deleting it, typing it again, softer this time, more honest this time, and then stopping right before sending it. Not because the feeling faded, but because it grew so large in that moment that it frightened them. That is not distance. That is not disinterest. That is a heart standing at the edge of something it knows will change everything, gathering the courage it needs before it jumps. If you have ever felt, out of nowhere, a strange certainty that someone was thinking about you at that exact moment, a flush of warmth or unease with no explanation attached to it, I want you to know that feeling was not random. It was real. Spirits communicate across distance in ways science has not caught up to yet, and yours has been receiving transmissions for longer than you realized. God says the timeline is shifting now. What has been delayed is not being delayed forever. There is a difference between a door that is closed and a door that has simply not been reached yet, and yours has not been reached yet, but you are closer to it than you were even a week ago. The waiting you have already survived has done something important in you. It has made you patient enough to receive this correctly, instead of grabbing at it and ruining it the way desperation ruins things. It has made you wise enough to recognize peace instead of mistaking chaos for passion. It has stripped away the version of you that would have settled for anyone just to stop feeling alone. And it has left behind someone who is finally ready to receive a name that was never meant to arrive a single day earlier than it is arriving right now. I want you to think back over everything I have said tonight. The letter that surfaced in your mind at the very beginning. The season you recognized as the true starting point of this feeling. The way your body reacted before your mind caught up. The peace underneath the uncertainty. And the name that simply will not leave you alone no matter how hard you have tried to reason it into silence. Put those 5 things together right now, in your mind, quietly, and I truly believe, you already know exactly who this message has been about since the very first sentence. You knew before I finished the first sign. You have known for longer than you have been willing to admit. And tonight was not the moment God gave you this information. Tonight was the moment God gave you permission to stop pretending you did not already have it. Scripture says that what is hidden will eventually be brought into the light, and nothing covered will remain covered forever. That is not a threat. That is a promise. And promises like that were never meant to frighten you. They were meant to prepare you for the exact moment you are living inside right now. The name you have been protecting, the one you have not said to anyone, maybe not even fully admitted to yourself in complete sentences, is not something you have to keep hiding out of fear that saying it will jinx it, or ruin it, or make it less true. Truth does not become less true because it is spoken. If anything, speaking it is often the very thing that moves it from spiritual confirmation into visible reality. So comment their initial below, just the first letter, if you are not ready for more than that. And let this become one more place where heaven is recording that you finally stop denying what you already knew. I need to say one more thing before I let you go, because I do not want you leaving this message and immediately running to force a conversation that is not ready yet. Confirmation is not permission to be reckless. What God is doing right now is preparing your heart, not necessarily pushing you to act within the next 24 hours. There is a difference between receiving a word and rushing a timeline, and rushing has ruined more good things than waiting ever has. Let this settle. Let it root. Let your peace be the guide instead of your urgency, because urgency comes from fear that something might slip away, and peace comes from knowing that what is truly meant for you cannot actually be lost, only delayed by your own impatience if you let it be. Think about a farmer standing in front of a field in late winter, when the ground looks completely empty, frozen, lifeless, nothing visible above the surface at all. An impatient person walking past that field would assume nothing is happening there, that the farmer wasted his effort, that the season was lost. But underneath that cold, silent ground, roots are doing the most important work they will ever do, spreading, strengthening, anchoring themselves so deeply that when spring finally arrives, what grows up out of that soil will not be fragile. It will not bend at the first strong wind, because everything that looked like nothing was actually everything. Your heart has been that field. What looked like nothing happening, no relationship arriving, no name confirmed, no clarity given, was actually the most important season of root work your heart has ever done. And what is about to grow out of that ground is not going to be fragile either, because it was built in winter, not handed to you in an easy spring you did not have to survive first. There is something else I have to tell you, something I almost did not include, but I think you need to hear it, especially if you have been hurt by love in a way that made you doubt whether you would ever be chosen, the way you have chosen other people. Some of you are going to receive this word and immediately think of every reason it cannot be real. You are going to think of the last time you were wrong about someone, the last time your heart got ahead of the evidence, the last time you built an entire future in your imagination around someone who was never building anything back. I understand that fear because it is not irrational. It is scar tissue. And scar tissue exists for a reason. But I need you to separate what happened then from what is happening now. Every previous disappointment was not proof that this one will also disappoint you. It was preparation for the version of you who could actually hold this one without breaking it through fear or grabbing it too tightly through desperation. Think about Hannah again for a moment, the woman who prayed so desperately for a child that the priest watching her thought she was drunk on wine because her lips were moving with no sound coming out. Grief so deep it looked like madness to anyone who did not understand what she was carrying. Her waiting was not empty. It was not wasted time while heaven looked the other way. It was the exact process that shaped her into a woman capable of receiving and releasing what she had been given, because sometimes the thing we are given requires a heart that has already been stretched wide enough to hold it without collapsing. Your waiting has been doing the same work in you, whether you could see it happening or not. Let me bring you back to the letter one more time, because I want this confirmation to feel undeniable by the time we finish tonight. If you commented that letter earlier, look at it again right now. Say the sound of it quietly to yourself. Let it sit in your mouth for a second. Now think of the season you recognized. Think of the way your chest reacted before your mind caught up. Think of the peace underneath the uncertainty, and think of how their name simply refuses to leave you alone, no matter how many nights you have tried to talk yourself out of it. This is not manifestation. This is not manipulation. This is not you forcing a feeling into existence through sheer wanting. This is God confirming something that was already true before you ever opened this video tonight. And all He is doing right now is finally letting you see clearly what your spirit has known in the dark for a very long time. I want to be honest about something because I think you deserve honesty more than you deserve comfort right now. This confirmation is not a guarantee that everything will unfold exactly the way your imagination has already scripted it. God confirming a connection is not the same as God guaranteeing a fairy tale with no obstacles, no timing issues, no conversations that need to happen first. Real love, the kind that is actually built to last, almost always requires courage from both people at some point, not just quiet spiritual confirmation happening privately in each of your own hearts. So do not mistake tonight's message as an invitation to sit back and wait passively for the universe to deliver this to your doorstep without you ever having to be brave. At some point, courage will be required. Not tonight, not necessarily this week, but eventually. Someone is going to have to say something true out loud, and I want you to be ready when that moment comes, instead of freezing the way fear has taught you to freeze in the past. Here is what I believe is coming for you in the near future, closer than you think. I believe there is going to be a moment, small at first, maybe just a message, maybe just an unexpected run-in, maybe just a conversation that goes deeper than either of you planned, and in that moment, you are going to feel something shift, something that finally matches everything we have talked about tonight. When that moment comes, I want you to remember this message. I want you to remember the letter, the season, the peace, and the name that would not leave you alone, and I want you to have the courage to not talk yourself out of it, the way you have talked yourself out of good things before. Before we close tonight, I want you to comment Amen if you believe God can reveal a name before it fully arrives in the natural world. And I want you to share this message with someone if you believe they need to hear it too, because sometimes the people around us are also waiting for permission to stop hiding what they already know. If this word confirmed something in you tonight, make sure you are subscribed, because what comes next in this series goes even deeper than what we covered tonight. And I do not want you to miss the part where everything becomes undeniable. Wait, before you go, there is one more thing I almost did not say tonight, and I think leaving it out would mean leaving you with an incomplete picture. Some of you are going to close this video and immediately feel the old fear creep back in within the hour. The voice that says this was just a nice video, just words, just something to make you feel good for 12 minutes before real life resumes exactly as it was. I want you to recognize that voice the moment it speaks, because it is the same voice that has talked you out of every good thing you almost believed for yourself. It does not arrive loudly. It arrives quietly, reasonably, dressed up as realism instead of fear. Do not let it have the last word tonight. You are allowed to hold on to a confirmation, even while your circumstances have not caught up to it yet. Faith was never designed to wait for evidence. Evidence is what faith produces once it has been allowed to stand. I also want to say this gently, because I care about you finishing this message in the right place emotionally, not just the right place spiritually. If tonight stirred something painful instead of something hopeful, if this made you think of someone who already left, someone whose name you are not ready to let go of even though you know you should, I want you to hear something separate from everything else I have said. Sometimes, what God is confirming is not a person who is coming, but a season that is closing, so that the actual name He has for you has room to arrive without competition from a memory. If that is you tonight, let this message also be your permission to grieve what needs to be grieved, so that what is coming does not have to knock on a door that history is still blocking. Chosen one, hear this clearly as we close. You are not foolish for feeling what you feel. You are not delusional for sensing what your spirit has been sensing. You are not too much, too late, or too far behind for this to still be real for you. What has been forming quietly is not finished forming, but it is closer to daylight than it has ever been, and the waiting you have carried was never wasted, not one single night of it. The letter you saw, the season you remembered, the peace you felt underneath the fear, the name that would not leave. All of it was real. All of it was pointing somewhere. And tonight, that somewhere finally has a shape you can see. Hold it gently. Hold it with faith instead of panic. And when the moment comes to speak it out loud, in your own voice, to the person it belongs to, I believe you will finally understand why every delay, every disappointment, every quiet night of wondering was leading you here, to this exact confirmation, at this exact hour, in this exact season of your one unrepeatable life.